Well, Kenny, good morning to you.
Good morning, Keith. Good morning, Paddy.
You're welcoming this decision altogether here. And again, we really have to note the partnership with Sumex Capital as well that have made this possible, with Edward Capital as well. But you're welcoming all of this.
This is powerful news for Galway and for the wider region this morning, Keith. And Paddy has articulated well some of the significant work that has taken place over the last couple of years on behalf of himself, Jerry, Edward.ie, Sumex Capital and CIE. I think if we look at Galway and we have such plans and ambitions for the future, this is really a significant piece of work that will help us deliver on those plans. We know already, if we look at our urban centre, that change is needed, and this is one of the game changer projects that need to fall into place, and there are a few others that will also be really helpful in preparing Galway, Keith, to become that sustainable urban centre of the future that we talk about. But this is a significant step in the progress. So I know our members will welcome it, and I know from colleagues in the IDA, this announcement and this approval really gives hope and gives a lot more to talk to when we're looking at attracting more investment into Galway and attracting more of those high-value jobs. People who'll be looking to see where can they live, and this is the perfect type of development scheme that Paddy's talking about, that those high-value earners will want to live in our city centre.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Paddy, from an investment point of view, I mean, what are we looking at here roughly, top of the head figure on this one of an investment in this area?
Yeah, so obviously the investment here, given the scale of the project, is quite substantial. So as I said, that can be incremental and it can be delivered over a number of years.
Yeah.
I think from the point of view of the scheme itself, like, it has the ability to deliver 610 jobs during the construction phase. There was a report prepared by essentially an economic report prepared by Alan Ahern from NUIG, and he effectively I suppose summarised to say that it could bring the bones of 240 million increase to national income and contribute 140 million a year to the Exchequer. And ultimately about 9 million a year to the local county council. So behind that, obviously, there's substantial investment to go into the construction phase, we would see that that can be delivered hopefully over the next number of years.
But are you looking at billions rather than millions at this stage?
Certainly not. No. There's
we're still in the millions.
Project. We're still at I suppose a number of 100 millions. Yeah.
Right, Kenny, just in relation to moving forward on this you say then sends out finally the message to the rest of the world, indeed, that Galway is definitely very much open for business.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, the transitions in the delivery of commercial property in Galway, with Bonham, Crown and other such locations around the city, creating that capacity that was needed. We now know that some companies do have concerns about, I suppose, the urban regeneration and the scale and pace with which that's taking. And this planning approval is a significant step in the right direction. And we know that they will be able to deliver on it and on a phased basis, but that's welcome. And I think, Keith, what we have is a number of other ambitious schemes for development around the urban centre, which the combination of all of this makes a very solid presentation and proposal to boardrooms around the world, in terms of saying Galway is not just a lovely location, a cultural city, a bilingual city. We have already proven that we can attract talent from around the world, but it's also a city that means business in terms of our redevelopment plans over the coming 2 to 3 decades. And a lot of this will be done within the next decade. So this is something that we as a chamber have supported from the beginning and just see it has been very significant.
Listen, well done. Can you stay with me?
Comment. Just one comment there.
Yes, Paddy.
I suppose in addition to the economics and the attractiveness of the business community, I think the key point here that has shouldn't be lost is that this is ultimately an expansion for the city, for the people of Galway, and obviously in respect of the open space delivery here, this will effectively deliver a new Air Square, within the campus of Augustine Hill, a new Spanish Arch, ultimately expanding the space. And I think from your previous comments there, just in relation to what was the story prior to us coming on, about the young people of Galway, one of the key things came back to us during the public consultation phase was, we met a number of the schools in Galway. We had teachers and students attend our public consultation, and ultimately students and children of Galway are crying out for more space within the city. I think the city is congested. It's overtaken by cars in a lot of areas, and ultimately, the young people of Galway are looking for space. They want somewhere where they can hang out, where they can, enjoy hanging out with friends, but it doesn't cost them money. And ultimately, this is a key pedestrianised area. It'll be open 24/7 to the general public, and is delivering, substantially increased open space and highly landscaped and delivery of space for the city. So we very much think that's a key part of the scheme.
Good stuff, Paddy McDonald. I hope that your young receptionist that answered your phone this morning indeed will get to enjoy Augustine Hill. So I do. But thank you for joining
that was
us.
Five-year-old Ben. He was on form there at 8:30.
He was more than on form, so he was. He was very efficient, was our Ben at 5 years of age. Kenny, before I let you go, by the way, just in relation to the food market at the docks, Alan Cheever said that he was hoping to get a response from you. Are you for or against that planning application?
I think one of the things we have to do, Keith, is take a step back. It's not as clear-cut as was presented by Councillor Cheevers this morning. And this came from a good place last year when the port were looking at the business community in the city, and many of those businesses were not able to open or didn't have the ability for click and collect or don't have space in front of their premises for outdoor dining. And the whole point of this is not that the harbour is intending on getting into the business of being a food provider, but they realised that they had space and they also had a social responsibility to try and help the business community within the city create a space that could be conducive to those businesses not having the room in town, being able to serve customers there. Now,
so it was a goodwill gesture on behalf of the harbour, you're saying?
Absolutely. If we look at the vision and the development plans for the harbour for the years to come, none of that relates around opening as a food provider to compete with town. It's actually trying to help enable the businesses in town. But at the same time, I appreciate there are concerns from some members. Now, I don't think it's as widespread from our engagement as Councillor Cheevers has presented. And what I would welcome, actually, Keith, is within Chamber to host socially distanced, but to host engagement and a roundtable discussion between the port and indeed some representatives of both sides of the business community. Those who would like to engage in this site if the planning was approved, and indeed those who have concerns about it. And I really think it's a bit disingenuous, this morning to be calling for a planning withdrawal without Councillor Cheevers even engaging with the port. I heard the tail end of the interview, but I heard his response to your question on whether he had engaged, and he's sending an email today, which, to be honest, Galway is a small city. We're a big town, really, and that's not the way progressively that we can drive change. So I would welcome, from a chamber perspective, to host a roundtable between the port and indeed the members of the business community to try and work this out without doing the more high-profile stuff that really isn't helpful.
All right, well, you've thrown the gauntlet down. Now let those people indeed make contact with you and let that meeting take place. Thank you for joining us today. The CEO of the Galway Chamber, indeed, Kenny Deery there.